Fox News alert on the San Bernardino terror attack. We are now learning the couple who killed 14 people at that office holiday party last week was radicalized before they met online about 2 years ago. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner. Here today, Sandra Smith, Andrea Tenteros, National Review columnist and Fox News contributor Catherine Temp, and today's hashtag One Lucky Guy, the co-host of Fox's Red Eye, Andy Levy, and he is outnumbered. Sometimes we see you guys together, though, and it's great to see you here.
Thank you.
Welcome.
It's great to be here. All
right, we have a lot to get to, so let's start. Well, we know the two suspects responsible for one of the worst terror attacks in U.S. history, certainly the worst since 9/11, were radicalized long before they started dating online. That's the new information. FBI Director James Comey is still testifying at a Senate hearing today, saying Syed Farook and Tashfeen Malik spoke to each other of martyrdom and jihad as far back as late 2013. This, as investigators are also looking into whether Farook had actually planned an attack prior to the one last week. Chief Correspondent Jonathan Hunt is live for us from San Bernardino, California, and a lot of information today, Jonathan.
Yes, some stunning information coming via the FBI director on Capitol Hill. Chief among those bits of information we got was this fact, according to the FBI director, that Tashfeen Malik and Syed Farook were radicalized before they even got married, before they even met online, and certainly before they arrived in the United States. Remember that photo we've seen, July 27th, 2014, Chicago O'Hare Airport. They arrived in the United States on that date and had, according to the FBI director, long bought into the ideas and ideology of radical Islam at that point. Listen here to James Comey.
In fact, our investigation to date, which I can only say so much about at this point, indicates that they were actually radicalized before they started courting or dating each other online. And online, as early as the end of 2013, they were talking to each other about jihad and martyrdom before they became engaged and then married and lived together in the United States.
Now, and remember that Tashfeen Malik came into the United States on a K-1 visa, a fiancé visa. I've got to toss it back to you, Harris, for breaking news.
Yes, Jonathan, thank you. And that's because the president is speaking right now. We knew that this was happening, the congressional commemoration of the 150th anniversary of the ratification of the 13th Amendment, with which abolished slavery. The president now speaking at a ceremony. Let's watch.
What we preserve. Thank you. God bless you. May God bless the United States of America.
And with that, the conclusion of the ceremony, which was commemorating the 150th anniversary of the ratification of the 13th Amendment, that is abolishing slavery in this country. You heard the president weaving the history along with the future, and then some words about the present. And no doubt, maybe in a veiled way, making some references to what's going on in our country right now with regard to the freedom of others and how others are looked upon. And that's interesting. We'll get into that a little bit more here on Outnumbered. But just to revisit a couple of things that the president just said. He said the abolition of slavery was about the kind of country we wanted to be. We condemn ourselves to shackles and betray the efforts of the past once more if we fail to push back against bigotry in all its forms. Again, that may be a more veiled reference to some of the things, the conversations that are going on in this country right now with regard to the Muslims who are citizens here, and some of the conversation, no doubt, about how we secure ourselves as a nation and yet keep people free in this country, too. You had a long list of speakers who spoke before the president did, and interestingly, that list ended with the House Speaker Paul Ryan, who has been pushing against some of the comments that Donald Trump has made, the GOP presidential candidate, with regard to Muslims. And so that'll be a topic when we continue here on Outnumbered coming right up, so stay close.
Well, he says he has no regrets. Donald Trump defending his controversial call to ban all Muslims from entering the United States. The Republican frontrunner telling ABC's Barbara Walters that his plan is the right thing to do. But he did clarify that it would not be permanent.
It's short term.
let our country get its act together. They knocked down the World Trade Center. They tried doing it twice. Other things have happened. There are people that have tremendously bad intentions. We have to be tough, we have to be smart, and we have to be vigilant.
His clarification not slowing the controversy. Today, municipal and community leaders in New York City holding an anti-Trump rally. And the Democratic mayor of Philadelphia, Michael Nutter, saying he wishes he had the power to ban Trump from the city of brotherly love. And it's not just Democrats speaking out. Republicans on Capitol Hill also denouncing Trump's comments. House Speaker Paul Ryan and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell saying such a ban would be completely inconsistent with American values. All this as a new poll taken almost entirely before this controversy shows Trump dominating the first primary state of New Hampshire with 32%, holding a more than 2-to-1 lead over his closest GOP rival. And we just heard the president speaking about the 150th anniversary of the abolition of slavery and apparently referencing the comments we heard from Trump about Muslims and possibly the heated debate in this country over the refugee program. The story continues, Andy. I mean, what do you make today, first going back to Trump's clarification of his ban, saying it would just be for the short term?
Yeah, he can clarify it all he wants. He needs to think these things through before he puts them out, because this is already, like, when he originally said this, then roll call, or it was The Hill, asked a spokesperson, does that include American citizens? And the spokesperson's reply was, he means everyone. And then quickly later that night on Greta, he had to walk that back. And now he's clarifying again. This is because he doesn't think these things through. He can clarify it all he wants. It's a dumb idea.
But, Andy, it just does not seem to be hurting him in the polls.
Oh, it's not going to hurt him.
Catherine, I want to get you in here. This latest USA Today Suffolk University National Survey talking about whether or not this controversy will weigh on him in the polling. 68% of Trump supporters say they would stick with him should he run for the White House as an independent. So he never ruled out a third-party run. He's saying if he goes, his supporters are saying they will stick by him.
I think it's probably even higher than that. People might just be too embarrassed to admit that they support Trump. But have you heard anybody who supports Trump? They support him no matter what he says. He doesn't have to apologize, and he doesn't have to think about what he says before he says it, because he just says, no, you know what, I'm right, and let's make America great again. And everyone says, yeah, and that's it, and it just goes away. Everybody...
Kevin, let me challenge you on that for a second, because it sounds to me like you're mocking him a bit, but it seems to be working, and it's sticking.
Working.
And he's tweeting out that latest USA Today Suffolk University poll. That's what he's been doing all along. It is working for him.
I have no idea why anyone's saying this is going to hurt him, because none of this stuff has hurt him. It just only helps him. See, he's saying what we're all thinking. I mean, I don't know who's thinking that, but there are people apparently, and I think he's maybe even going to be more popular because of this.
All right, Andrea, so is there anything that could hurt Trump at this point? I mean, this was seen as one of the most controversial remarks of his campaign.
Yeah, this isn't going to hurt him at all. I agree with you. Look, I don't think he should have come out and used a religious test. He should have called for a moratorium on migration from Islamic countries. That's sort of where he is now, that temporary hiatus. And I think, Sandra, after 9/11, after Boston, after Fort Hood, after Dallas, after San Bernardino, people are ready for it. And what he's doing is not just dominating the news cycle. Even when he's clarifying, he's still dominating. He's highlighting the weaknesses of the other Republican candidates. For example, candidates like Marco Rubio, who before Paris was pro-refugee, they are all over the map trying to walk this back and clarify. And their message now is, no, we can't, to Donald Trump on a problem that Americans want answers to. And I tell you, that is not a good crouch for any politician. Trump's going to win this one.
Andrea makes a good point. I mean, is this a good move for the GOP to be, speaking out against Trump's remarks? So we heard from House Speaker Paul Ryan, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, saying the ban would be completely inconsistent with American values.
All right, so two things that I heard from both Andrea and Andy. Not to leave you out, Catherine, but they specifically talked about whether or not this will hurt or help Trump. Look, he still soaks up the clarification round of media stardom.
Yep.
Let's face it. I mean, if he's cleaning up, he's still atop the headlines. That's what the game is about at this point. That's what's been helping him since June, which, by the way, was the last time anybody else was ahead of this pack nationally. Chairman Mike McCall of the House Homeland Security Committee at the Christian Science Monitor breakfast a short time ago just said, you know what? These words are not helping. I'm going to paraphrase him about Trump. I don't believe the proposal is constitutional if singling out religion. But then on Trump's proposal. McCall said he has not endorsed anyone, but he will support whomever the Republican nominee is. So it's complicated for the GOP. It's complicated. Who else in the party has soaked up this much limelight?
No. And that's as running as a Republican. Andrea and Andy, I'll ask you both this. Do you believe he is going to make a third party? Will it happen? Will we see him run?
I don't think he's going to make a third party run. I actually do not think he needs to. One point quickly on the GOP, Speaker Paul Ryan, who I like very much, is not taking comments about this issue, about what Trump said on his website. The GOP is cowering. They are cowering in fear over this issue, and they need to step up because, thank God, at least Donald Trump is bringing an important issue to the foray, and we're having this national debate. Republicans are running scared, and this is why the base of the party is not happy with the establishment, and they are rallying around Trump.
Last word to you, Andy.
I got to say, everyone keeps talking about Trump running as an independent if he's not the nominee. We need to start talking about whether a Republican is going to run as an independent if Trump is the nominee.
Oh, that's an interesting question.
We'll leave it at that.
Next time.
Back to our top story today. Brand new information on the radical Islamist killers. Farouk may have been planning another attack. And we know now that the couple had been radicalized for years before they met online, how they went unnoticed, and stunning revelations on the Benghazi attack. The Pentagon offering military help during the first wave of attacks. The State Department not responding. Why?
Fox News alert now. As we told you at the top of the hour, it's where we started. The FBI chief has told lawmakers on Capitol Hill that the couple who killed 14 people at that office party last week in San Bernardino, California, was radicalized long before they met online. Director James Comey says Saeed Farouk and Chashfeen Malik spoke to each other of martyrdom and jihad as far back as late 2013. We're going to revisit this topic. It's breaking news at top of the hour. Of course, we took a pause for the president for this, but I want to come to you, Sandra, first on this, because you say this is really important for us to know. Why?
Well, these are two huge pieces of news on this story. The fact that now the FBI is saying that this couple was radicalized before they met online. That's one big piece of news out of this. Also, the FBI in this announcement said that they're going to continue to work to understand the nature of the association with these foreign terror organizations, which they said they were working with, and the source of their inspiration, which I thought was really interesting. Moving beyond that, investigators saying that they believe that they had planned an attack prior to San Bernardino. Another news outlet is reporting that the couple was spooked because of the recent terror arrests in California and decided not to carry out that attack. I think going forward, that is going to be a huge point that needs to be made. They were deterred by local arrests.
Which is why we can't back off. But how do we go forward if we're not getting the information that's 2.5 years old at this point?
Well, there's a couple of things here. First of all, I think this is a good reminder that everything we hear right after an event like what happened in San Bernardino is suspect. We heard originally, it seemed like, oh, he was a normal guy and then he met this woman and then the wife radicalized him. And that now seems to not be the case. Look, people keep talking about how did we miss this? Most likely we missed it because we can't always find it. That's not saying if there were red flags.
Because this was during the time of all that metadata.
Well, that's exactly right. And you could argue that maybe the bulk data collection meant it was hard to find the needle in the haystack. But I don't know that. I think if there were red flags that we should have known about, and maybe there were, then yeah, we got to ask why they weren't followed up on and see what we can do better. But I think the simple truth is we can't stop every nut job who wants to kill people. And it's an ugly truth, but it's a truth.
But the question, Catherine, is was there enough there? Was there enough there to where authorities should have caught this?
I don't know how, but you would think it's got to always be a long process. Even if you believe in radical extremism, there's a process between that and actually deciding to turn your apartment into a bomb factory, going out and committing mass murder. There is a process, and somewhere in that process, the anti-terrorism officials should be able to pick on something, or else what are they doing?
This makes me think of something you said yesterday, though, because you were saying, Andy, that a lot of the information that we got early on certainly has not turned out to be true as they dig deeper in their investigation. But where did we get a lot of that information? From people who were family members and witnesses. And, Andrea, you were saying you didn't feel like they had done enough before they opened up that scene and let people kind of go back to wherever. and that we hadn't done enough in talking to people.
Well, just a lot of questions about why the family members weren't held in FBI custody and why they were allowed to appear at press conferences with CARE when they should have been interrogated. But the time leading up to that, can we just say that they weren't dating? I mean, there's reports that they were dating. They were radicalized. They were on Muslim Mingle. It's not like Jihad Match or something like that. They teamed up to conduct this attack, and it seems logical, right? You look at the pipe bombs, you look at the weapons, you look at the 100 rounds of ammo. You knew, based on Trace Gallagher's reporting, that they were up to something bigger because of what they had in that apartment. And I would say we're not taking the right steps. It's two big issues. One, going after these websites that allow these terrorists to communicate, many of them encrypted, and two, the visa program. This could have been stopped, but they have to take a closer look, and in this country, that's not the priority. The priority is going after gun owners and people who speak ill of Muslims, and the White House proved that after San Bernardino with Attorney General Lynch's announcement and the president's from the Oval Office.
All right, real quickly, because this is still going on. Comey is still testifying before the Senate Judiciary Committee, and so this has just come down about this couple, possibly inspired by the Islamic State savages. So now we're learning more. They may have been together, but look at the timing of that. As you pointed out, Sandra, they may have tried to do something earlier, felt deterred by what we were doing, making arrests, we as Americans.
Well, so what we're learning, and this is Fox News reporting, that the information on the attack that was planned prior to this, that they apparently or reportedly got spooked and didn't carry it out. We learned from these interviews with Farouk's friend, who legally purchased the weapons. So
who was also radicalized and had converted to Islam.
So, Andrea, you're making the case that there was enough there.
I think so. And I mean, the neighbor is the biggest key, but the neighbor was too scared because of a culture of political correctness. I mean, you look back on this and it's like the country was going, look at all the pretty red flags. Ooh. I mean, when are we going to wake up? And they're still not addressing the problem. At least they are in the House of Representatives with this visa program, and at least Donald Trump is starting dialogue about an important issue.
All right. Well, a lot to be learned because we don't know for certain all that went on, but for sure, the FBI director, James Comey, right now is dropping some news. He's bringing it. We're going to continue to cover it as it comes out of that testimony that he's giving now on the Hill. Well, new questions about the response to the Benghazi attack. We are learning the Pentagon offered help for a rescue mission. We thought this. Now we know. It was never given the green light. Why could that be? And how it could affect Hillary Clinton's run for the White House. Stay with us.
Well, stunning new info on the response to the attack in Benghazi that killed 4 Americans. According to an email obtained by Judicial Watch, the Pentagon had American military forces ready to respond, but was never given the okay. A Pentagon official messaged Hillary Clinton's top deputies to offer military help. The email, sent the night of the attack, says, quote, after consulting with General Dempsey, General Ham, and the Joint Chief of Staff, we have identified the forces that could move to Benghazi. They are spinning up as we speak. The new details seem to contradict testimony from former Defense Secretary Leon Panetta, who in 2013 told lawmakers there was no time for an immediate response. The email came after the first wave of attacks at that consulate, but before a mortar strike on the CIA annex that killed Ty Woods and Glenn Doherty, 2 private CIA contractors. Okay, Andy, so we know from the FOIA emails, Panetta and Clinton basically told President Obama, go to sleep, we got this. Why didn't we show up that night when the DOD said we can scramble those jets and get there?
Yeah, there are 2 questions here. I'm not sure that this information in this email is anything that's new. The House Armed Services Committee released a timeline back in 2013 that says exactly what's in this email, that the forces that could be in a position to move to Benghazi had been identified and that Leon Panetta had ordered them to prepare to deploy. The question that remains is why didn't they ever deploy? Panetta, as you pointed out, said that there was basically no time and that basically said by the time they got there, it would be too late. That's the question we need to get into, but I don't think the other stuff.
But that's not true, and that's why we're still talking about this, Sandra, because they said there's no time. There was never, according to Adam Housley, never a lull in the firefight. There was never an excuse not to send rescuers. The United States of America never doesn't show up and leave a man behind. So why, when they didn't know the fight was going to go on for 7 hours, why wouldn't they go in to get their guys?
And I'm not sure how you can say there's nothing new here. I mean, this clearly shows, for those who have challenged the notion that the military assets were ready to go, Andy, that they were awaiting sign-off from the State Department, and they never acted. This is further backup, and we continue to hear from Hillary Clinton and that everything was offered up. She did everything she could do, and she's answered all the questions on this. This is why people want this investigation to continue, and we still have questions unanswered.
I'm just saying it's not. I'm saying we knew this in 2013, and I also don't think it's news that Hillary Clinton lies.
Right, but still, Kat, when you look at the reporting that has been done, it points to the fact that at the time, Chairman Mike Rogers in the House of Representatives, his wife was on the ground in CIA doing work where there were CIA agents on the ground. She was a general contractor in Benghazi. There were CIA agents on the ground. Over 30 agents reported. There's reports of potential gun running happening. For some reason, this State Department did not want to draw attention to that. And Mike Rogers, Chairman Rogers, did he possibly cover something up in his report? Because Democrats and Republicans seem to not ask the tough questions to find out what happened.
Of course, if the government has power, it's going to use it sometimes to cover things up that aren't convenient, particularly if you are Hillary Clinton, and kind of how Trump can say whatever offensive things he wants, no one cares. People are so used to all of her scandals, I feel like nobody really cares anymore. A lot of people are sick of hearing about Benghazi, no matter what kind of new bombshells come out about it.
Yeah, but it's still an important issue because 4 Americans died, and the most important question remains: why didn't the United States of America show up? Cyberbullying has gotten so bad for some kids that one app that's popular with teens, well, guess what? They've taken measures to make sure that nothing posted online is mean. But will that really make a difference?
Growing up can sometimes be very tough. And now a new government survey shows girls have it even harder than boys when it comes to being bullied. It finds girls are twice as likely to be the victims of cyberbullying as boys, with 2 in 10 girls reporting they were bullied online last year, compared with 1 in 10 boys. It's so bad, the popular app After School, which lets teenagers post comments and images anonymously, has taken steps to protect children online. It now has a staff completely dedicated to reviewing each post before it is published. But Catherine, you say, you know what, it was bad before this for some kids.
It's going to make no difference. It's one app. That's all it is. You don't even need the internet at all to be bullied. I was bullied. This one girl would always come up to me at lunch and tell me to eat my lunch on the floor so she could sit down. And I think it's girls. Boys never did that to me either. Boys just, ignored me. So I think a lot of it is girls bullying other girls, too. I think that's what a lot of it is, more than boys bullying girls. But girls always have it worse. There's still the whole rest of the internet, and they're still being able to tell someone to eat their lunch on the floor.
Do you think maybe if you had seen Star Wars, people wouldn't have bullied you?
I don't think that was the problem. I think it was my mullet.
Just check.
Now she's getting bullied now.
But wasn't bullying, I mean, that's a different type of bullying. When you talk about this cyberbullying, you don't have to put a face, you don't have to do it in person. I mean, that was different. This, as I understand it, can be much more harsh and difficult for these teenagers to deal with.
This is one app, though. There's still the whole rest of the internet to be anonymous and bully somebody if you want to.
But you're right. There's a thing called the online disinhibition effect, which basically means that if you're not talking to someone face-to-face, you're more likely to be a jerk. And that's what we're seeing.
Well, that's in life, period.
No, absolutely. But that's what we're seeing online. And then you add anonymity on top of that, and it's just going to increase that effect.
You know, you don't have to be a parent to understand. You just have to have once been a child to understand that it hurts, that those words hurt. And they can last a long time. And now with the internet, they can last forever, potentially. 55% of those who were asked in the survey that was done by the Department of Health, and they talked with 120,000 15-year-olds. That is an enormous study on this topic. 55% said that they had been bullied in some form over the past 2 months. That's a lot of hate moving around.
And I don't think it's just young kids. I mean, I think it's definitely escalated with the rise of social media and young girls. But also, as Andy mentions, I think people in general just becoming more mean.
Why do you think that is? Because I hear this from police officers who talk about road rage.
Because you can be, right? You can have that anonymity if you want it. But I was talking to a woman who polled millennials, and she said, you remember before, like if you were going to lie to your best friend and go to the mall with another girl, it was not likely you would get caught, maybe at the pizza shop if someone saw you. Now, everyone's watching what everyone else is doing on social media. So girls are saying, I thought you weren't friends with her. You said something negative about her, but you posted a picture on your Instagram about her, and you liked her photo. How dare you like her photo? I thought we were friends. And it's just causing meltdowns with young girls, and it's making them meaner.
And then there's the idea of how they're dealing with it, right? So there's people like Catherine who says you were the victim of bullying when you were young. It appears to have made you a very strong, self-confident woman, but it doesn't always end up that way, and that's what's really scary. When Harris talks about being a parent, is this survey showed 1 in 10 of these teenagers had tried cannabis, 3 in 5 had drank a full alcoholic beverage. Wow. That's a big concern.
Well, to eat it or not to eat it, that food in the fridge looks so tasty still. The rapper says it expired days ago. Did you know your spouse wants to eat it anyway? I don't know, maybe it's you. The bickering between couples, the battle over the sell-by date, apparently the new battleground for loved ones.
There's an expiration date, and then there's...
Oh, give it one more try before you give up on love. One bad apple don't spoil the whole bunch, girl. Oh, I don't care what they say, I don't care. She's my cherry pie, cool drink of water, such a sweet surprise. Tastes so good, make the grown man cry. Sweet cherry pie. Oh, yeah.
Oh, where's a fire hose? Well, you've been there. You look at the sell-by date on the milk, and then you think it's gone bad, but your partner, however, says it's perfectly fine. So who's right? Well, a new survey shows nearly half of consumers chuck the food after the sell-by or best-by date, typically because they fear getting sick. But according to the Agriculture Department, those dates are actually set by the manufacturer to indicate when food is at its peak quality. And Sandra Smith, you have very strong opinions about this.
I do, because I will go through my refrigerator periodically, look for the date at which something expired. I look for the expiration, not the sell-by. Sell-by, you can still leave it in the refrigerator, but an expiration date I adhere to and I chuck it. My husband, on the other hand, it does not matter to him. He will eat it if it's expired.
Andy?
Yeah, I will also go through my fridge periodically and throw out stuff that's expired. For instance, I once threw out milk that had expired 2 years ago.
Ew.
So I'm really good. No, I think I'm really good on stuff like this. Look, the smell test is the key here, right? You smell, if it smells okay, you can probably
You're going to have some arguments.
I leave, dairy is a separate...
What if you have olfactory issues and your nose is stuffed up?
Well,
what if your nose isn't working?
That's your own problem. The thing is, though, as a celebrity like myself, I'm not eating food that's past its peak date. Like I don't deserve that.
My parents who watch Daily are leaning in to see, wait, who is he?
So I buy breakfast every morning, and I never have time to eat it, and I keep it in my purse, and I carry it around all day with me. I have a yogurt in my bag right now, and then I put it back in my refrigerator at night, and then I see if day 2 I can eat it, and I never do. And it's like a science project.
Andrea, delicious.
After 2 days, and then I'm like the woman who drank Amazon water and lived to tell the tale.
Yeah.
Sometimes I eat it and I live.
Yummy.
I can't with that.
Good story,
and my husband likes to eat things that are possibly moving in the fridge.
I love that people are arguing about this, though. That seems like a weird thing to actually argue about. Like, personally, maybe I'm single. I can eat as expired a food as I want to.
Do you?
So
go,
that's
girl.
a nice bonus. No man can tell me not to eat nasty, moldy food. He can't stop me, so I'm going to just skip on out of here. No,
Eat that mold, Cat.
Hello.
We're saying
So
right
brave.
here, for Outnumbered Overtime, make sure to log on foxnews.com/OT. Going to be a fun one. We'll see you back here tomorrow on TV, noon Eastern. Happening now. Starts now.
We are so glad you're here for Outnumbered Overtime. OT, baby!
What's wrong with people on this
We ended
couch?
the TV version of us.
Seriously.
With Catherine dropping some news about how she likes to eat expired food items in her fridge.
I don't like to.
You don't?
Sometimes I don't have anything else, and there's some wonton soup.
It's like not
some
offended.
wonton
Well, you didn't
egg drop
share that
that's been
part.
there for a while. A lot of sodium. Sodium keeps things good forever. Just a little tip.
Yeah. That's for
Cooking
sure.
tip from me.
So there is
All
an
right.
upshot to sodium.
Yeah, I think sodium's great. It's delicious, and it preserves your food for all time.
E-Man in Arkansas, I'm going to think. Expiration dates are just a suggestion.
No.
Right, sell-by
Expiration dates.
expiration dates or expiration dates.
Sell-by dates
or
are a
Best Buy
suggestion.
or whatever.
Do you believe everything the government tells you?
Right.
You know? Like, they don't know.
I don't know. Sometimes, okay, I dated a guy once who was a big, like, skimmer off the top. He'd
What
be
does
like,
that
all
mean?
right, if you just skim it off the top, it's fine. And I was like, no,
what that means.
Disgusting.
You're saying,
If it smells okay, I have like a bloodhound. I'm like,
yeah. You're
if it
talking
smells
about
okay, I'll eat
so you take the top off.
have any cheese.
You would
I
take
don't have
the
any
top
food in my
layer and
refrigerator
throw it
anyway.
away.
Yes.
And then eat or drink the rest of it, is what you're saying.
He was disgusting. Yeah.
But see, like, I'm a spree eater.
What does that mean?
I'll get in the mood for something like random example, like cereal, and then I will
get weird.
I'm like this. I'll eat it for like 6 days in a row.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I don't want cereal anymore.
I'm the exact same way.
But inevitably, I probably have half a carton of milk still sitting in the fridge, and I don't really drink milk at home if I'm not unless it's in cereal. So it's gonna sit there for a really, really.
You don't sit on your couch just drinking milk.
When I first got married, Tony would tell me, I have to go to the grocery store with you next time because you keep buying like a bulk eater. Like, I'll eat the same thing Monday through Friday.
I can do that.
And by Friday, he's like, I can't do the same thing again. Like, what are you on that you need? Like, is there some sort of binge that you're on? And then by Saturday, I'm ready for the next thing. But it can be anything.
You guys are weird.
I like hearing this. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think people's eating habits say a lot. It's the eating habits and sharing the closet and the bathroom when you first get married. Aren't those kind of the testing grounds? I think they are. Or even dating. I think those are the things that kind of go, oh, so that's who you really are.
I don't know if that's good for me or not.
Oh, no.
It'll be fine.
See, when it has two components, like milk and cereal, I find that challenging because I have the cereal, but I don't have the milk right now. And so guests are always like, you have cereal, but no milk. I'm
You
like,
have guests over for cereal? I need to come
so my
to your
best
house.
friend's staying with me now, and she every time she comes to town, she's like, and I know that, older folk, my mom always likes her milk when she comes to town. I don't have any milk. I have tons of condiments, but no milk, hot sauce. And so, but I have lots of cereal, which is probably stale.
All right, our viewers are ready for us to change the topic.
I wonder why. This is
And by the way, if I
interesting.
like your posting, it means I'm going to try to get to it. So Samot7 says, when is our government going to wake up and control our borders? Andy, you want to take that?
January 27th, 2019.
Really, you think?
He asked when. That's my guess.
So you don't think it's going to happen?
No, it's never going to happen.
Why not?
Because it's almost impossible to do.
Do you not want to make
put a
America
man on
great
the moon.
again?
It's
What's
not
wrong with you?
impossible to do.
When was the last time we put a man on the moon? If, in fact, we really did put a man on the moon.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, Gabby
Look at the
Gifford's
shadows,
husband's up
Harris.
there now.
Look
I
at
don't
the
even know where to
shadows.
take that. But seriously, we could do this if we really wanted to. But let me put it to you a different way. If we are in as much jeopardy as we think we are right now by these thirsty killers who want to drain our blood, basically, and chop off our heads, then we better figure out a way.
Yeah, if the vampires are coming here, we absolutely need to do something.
Did I just call them vampires? I guess I technically kid. I call them savages all the time.
Yeah. I'm okay with
Andrea?
I'm still laughing about the fake moon landing joke. That was brilliant.
He didn't mean it. I'm already
So
getting
good.
chats about that.
It's a running
What's
gag.
Captain Shadrack's up to?
He loves you, by the way.
I shout him out every day.
Oh my gosh, Digital Phil says that Sandra arm wrestled Harris once. It didn't go well. Did that happen?
I kicked your butt.
I do remember that.
I can't believe you forgot. It slammed that
Well,
arm
I
down
try
fast.
to forget the defeats in my life.
I had a serious advantage.
I think you were standing.
Oh, wow. No, that never happened.
I think we need to do round two at the
Anyway, I don't know why
Christmas
people are
party.
talking about that today, but
I'll
they
referee round two. You girls up
Oh,
for
yeah,
it?
definitely.
Really? That
Yeah.
could be interesting.
No, right now.
Oh no,
Nah,
we're dresses.
no.
That's not going to happen.
Thanks.
You're
Need
gonna
your
put on like
official arm wrestling gear.
People are all
have,
into
like, a
this.
glove, like a
They want to
fingerless
see us
glove?
fight MMA style.
No, what's...
I don't know. I'm just like reading on here.
Pick and choose your comments, please.
Anyway, all right, moving on. And they want Andrea to referee. I'm seeing this. How can we trust vetting the refugees when the lady in California got through undetected J. Cole 3? All right, so she was here. I'm going to like that since I read it, so I don't go back to it. She was here, Tashfeen Malik, on that fiancé waiver, or fiancé visa, excuse me, not the waiver visa, which would allow her to have gone through some sort of questioning and vetting system. So how does that happen? That's the question here. I think that's what they have to try to figure out. Yeah. Because it speaks to the issue, do we really know who's here now?
No.
No.
And there's no database in Damascus with a very detailed list of who all of these refugees are. And if we don't know who the people are who are here now, we certainly don't know who the people are that are coming here in droves. It's over 500,000 a year, 680,000 over 5 years, and that's expected to increase under this refugee program. And again, I mean, I say it, but it's if you're sitting with someone, he said, okay, what is your name? Who knows you? There's no vetting process. You know, oh, call my friend Mohammed. Okay, Mohammed, call him. He'll reference for me. Mohammed. Who's Mohammed? No, call him. There's no information. And everyone keeps saying we're going to vet them better. Even our own administration says that'll take 2 years. And I don't even think 2 years they can figure it out, because you can always lie.
Right. Are you a terrorist? Nope.
What did Chris Stirewalt say? Make everyone eat like a pork sandwich or something? He did.
That'll keep the Jews out.
That's offensive.
Pork sandwich, how long can that be in the refrigerator?
Depends how much salt is in it.
Well, you are Jewish, but it's Greg who's not.
Yes. What's that?
Greg's not Jewish, but you are Jewish.
I am Jewish, yes. And I eat pork all the time, so that wouldn't even work on
So
me.
you're a bad Jewish person.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. So today, this is about
You
Donald
guys are a
Trump.
bad influence. Normally I'm talking about
Breweries, I think, writes this about, and I'll just say it kind of generally because we don't have time to get into it in detail. Where does Donald Trump go next with this? He's on the clarification round, and it's helping him.
Wherever. He just keeps going, keeps clarifying, more attention, more attention. He probably makes messes on purpose so that he can clean them up because he knows he won't get in trouble. It's just more time for him talking. He's in the news every day, right front and center every day, without anyone ever getting mad at him.
Wow, except for the people who have to compete and can't get any airtime.
Right. Well, the place he goes, where he goes from here is, as we said earlier, he goes up in the polls.
Yep.
That's where he goes.
Great to have you. A little taste of red eye on the couch today.
I know, more than a taste.
I loved it. Good to see you both.
Bite.
All right, back on TV tomorrow at noon Eastern on the Fox News channel with Outnumbered.